Okay, so if you like a sensual romance, if you like erotica, but more with a good, strong story behind it and not just, bedroom Olympics, then this is for you. So, Feral, it takes place in Central Florida. I originally wrote this book, I think it was back in 2010, 2011, and I have revamped it since then. Um, so who you see here before you is Azora. Azora is this really beautiful girl. She's the baby of this large family of 7 daughters, I believe it is. All of their names starts with A. The mother's name is Amelia. The father's name is, oh my goodness, I forgot the daddy's name, but anyway, I think it starts Albert. There's Albert and Amelia, and then all the kids have A names because both the parents have A names. They're one of them special people. Okay. Anyway, when they went camping, when Azora was probably about, I think she was about 2 years old, they went camping in Canada and they lost her. Okay, she kind of wandered off into the wilderness and they lost this little girl. And no matter how hard they tried, they could not find her. So years go by and a hunter comes across a a feral child in the woods living amongst a pack of wolves. And at the time, she was with the mother wolf and some younger cubs. And so the mother being defensive, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, the mama gets shot. Um, so Azora is we say so called rescued, right? But in the Zora's eyes, she wasn't rescued. She was taken from her family because that's all she knew. From 2 years old till they found her, till she was 7 or 8 years old. That's all she knew was living in the woods with the wolves. So for her, they came along and ruined her life, and they brought her to these people who they're just weird to her. She doesn't know them. She doesn't understand them. She don't care for them. She'd rather go back to the pack, and she like misses how she feels her siblings, the other cubs. So um they rehabilitate her. As they're rehabilitating her, the woman who like her, I guess like her social worker, gets concerned because she starts seeing some of the alphabet people are taking a special interest in Azora. So Azora has special abilities and they're starting to see that. Azora went from being nonverbal to verbal very quickly. She turned out to be a very fast learner. She just had abilities that they had not seen, that they've wondered if she developed from being left out in the woods and, being raised by wolves. And they didn't know if she had developed from that or if it was something in her DNA. But what scared the social worker is that the alphabet people were starting to come around and look at this little girl. So she cut the treatment short and she rushed her back to her parents in South Florida. I'm sorry, Central Florida, in Orlando. So her parents get her back, and they're happy to get her back because they can't wait to get her. They want their little girl back. They've been 5 years. They thought this little girl was dead, or they thought somebody had taken her wanting ransom money, but nobody ever came forward with a ransom note or anything. So they didn't know what to do. So finally, it's like a second chance. They get their daughter back, but the little girl that they remember and the little girl that they get back is two totally different people. So Azora does not. She does not. She fights to get back in with that family. Like she doesn't want to be there. She doesn't want to be there. She doesn't know any better, but she doesn't want to be there. But they work with her. So that's how the story starts out, and it basically, if it fast forwards to a few years later now when she's grown up, and they don't know what to do with her because Azora is a handful. Like There's two areas of her life that one they have no clue how to tame, and the other one they don't dare touch. They're very prude people, and they don't want to touch that area of her life, which is her sexuality. The other part is her temper. She has a temper, right? And her temper and her sexuality intertwine. So they decide, like, the parents realize, like, look, we're getting older. What's going to happen when we're too old? What's going to become of Azura? Her all of her sisters are married off, and they all have their own lives and everything like that. They don't want to burden the sisters, and like, we gotta figure out something to do. So mom and dad come up with a great idea to fake an illness, and so that and try to convince Azora, like, the mom's like, look, I just want to see you happily married before I leave this earth, whatever. So Azora falls for it, hook, line, and sinker, because she loves her mom. At this point now, her and the mom have developed a relationship. So she loves her mom. She loves her dad. She loves her parents. But she just would rather just be independent and alone for the rest of her life. Like, she doesn't care about relationships, like a society does. And she sees her sisters in their marriage, and it does not appeal to her. She thinks that all the husbands are jerks, and she thinks the sisters are dumb. She just hates it. She thinks it's stupid. And she says, like, oh, you get married and you become, you're locked in this house and you care about stupid things. Like, that's just how she sees it. So, but for her mom and her dad, she does it. So she agrees to an arranged marriage. Now, the family that they are friends with, they have a son named Tobias. They're the Kavanaughs. Now, for those of you who have checked out the Endurance series, Tobias Kavanaugh is related. He's a cousin to Maxwell and Tamaris. So, just so you know. Tobias sees Azora at it was like at a charity event, and he was just like, this girl is gorgeous. And he kind of had a short interaction with her, nothing much, but he was like, damn, this girl is hot. So he's interested. So when his parents come to him, like, hey, they're having a problem, they need, she's the youngest daughter, they're worried about her, they're getting older, and they want to know, if you would agree to marry their daughter. And they know, she's like, they know that they're being old fashioned, this is not the 1800s. But Tobias, who is a happy bachelor, who just kind of like is just living life la vida loca, like, he decides, you know what, it'd be good for the business to appear, stable, that you're in a long-term relationship, you have a wife, you're having like a stable life. He's thinking, like, okay, maybe it's time for me to grow up, start acting like an adult. So he's like, you know what, who's it gonna hurt, so he does it. So the second chapter opens up on their wedding night, and I'm gonna leave it there because this is a public thing and I can't be talking about all that on here. I'll open like that. So that's all I'll say about Feral. This book, if you get it in a printed version, or I'm going to leave the links to the ones where it's a hybrid version for those of you who like the hybrid. If you don't like the hybrid, you could also find this on Amazon. For those of you who don't know what a hybrid is when you have a video for each chapter. So there's a QR code in the book. The first QR code you see in this book is going to be the prologue that's going to talk about, which is you got to listen to it. It's really cool. And then at the beginning of each chapter, you're going to see a QR code, and it'll play the whole chapter for you, and it's a video. Some videos are just going to be with the talking and just like a picture. Some of them will have a bunch of different pictures. Eventually they're all going to get upgraded, and as they get upgraded, if you buy the printed copy, you'll always have that upgrade. You're not going to have to buy another copy to get the upgrade. It's forever, right? Anyway, and it has like a little community on there. You can leave a message in there for me, and I will check it. If you have questions, I will check it in there. We can talk about it. Um, it's just a fun, or you talk to other people, not just me, but other people. Hopefully, other people will communicate in there. I know sometimes people are a little nervous about talking online, whatever, but it's a private community. So you just have to sign up, and it's free to sign up. And you can leave a comment, say how you feel. Let me know if, like, hey, you can post my comment, or you can share my comment. This is, as part of your review or whatever you think. I would love that. I would greatly appreciate that. Anyway, I hope you enjoy, and we're going to be moving on to the next book.